Hello and welcome back to Cars of Glasgow, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new BMW X3 X-Drive 20D M Sport, so stay tuned for this video. So if we start off with the front of the car, as you can see we've got BMW's latest kidney grills that get larger and larger with each generation. This is the third generation BMW X3 that rides on the G01 platform that's shared with the 5 Series and the 7 Series. These grills, as you can see, are closed. They are adaptive, so they open and close to let the air in for aerodynamic reasons. I think that's quite a cool feature they've implemented. If I unlock the car, you'll see we've got traditional BMW Halo daytime running lights. This time they're LED, and BMW are kind enough to have a little LED badge embossed onto the side of the headlight itself. An M Sport package adds the aggressive bumpers and styling and larger alloy wheels, and it also adds black kind of shadow trim around the side of the car that replaces the chrome going around the windows. The M Sport package, I'm sure if you've seen on the roads, is very popular here in the UK. Not many people buy the SE or the X-Line versions. So M Sport comes standard with these 19-inch M Sport style alloy wheels finished in like a kind of graphite grey colour which hides the brake dust, which is ideal, and the body colour arches as well to hide the kind of black plastic that you may have seen in some other SUVs and crossovers. Sadly, this side air intake is fake. In the cars at the 4 Series it's real. Here it's fake. You can hopefully kind of see it's closed up. M Sport badge on the side there just continues to let people know you've got an M Sport. And you'll see the M Sport logos going throughout the car again on the rear, the rear wheel of the car. The alloy, you've got another M Motorsport division. So in the rear, I quite like the fact that the BMW X3 rear tail lights kind of look like an X. If you're far enough back, the left and the right hand side kind of look like an X when they meet in the middle. That's quite a nice design feature. So we want to go ahead and open the boot. There's a couple of ways you can do that. Under the BMW badge there's a little button there, and there's also a little button on the key fob, so you can push that, and quite quietly and quickly the BMW boot opens up. So inside you'll see a nice squared off area. It's 550 litres of boot space, which is the same as the Audi Q5 and Mercedes GLC, so they're really competing almost to the litre in this class of car. I will point out it is quite nice the fact that BMW have given you a little bit of storage underneath that you can fit the parcel shelf in, so that means you don't have to leave it in your garage or anything like that. And overall the quality in here is continued back up, and there's even a little speaker up in the C-pillar as well, so that's quite decent as well. And to close the boot, you can push the button on the fob. I just hold that in, sorry. There we go. Or you can push the button on the trunk there as well. If I push that again, there we go, and it'll close up, one touch. Around the back, as you can see, we've got twin exhaust pipes, which I quite like for symmetrical reasons. The previous generation had dual exhaust on the side, or a single one, depending if you got a petrol or a diesel, and a variant of the engine. Anything from the 20D and the 20i get this, and then if you get the M40i, you kind of get two rectangular exhausts. Move around to the side again, you can see the Hofmeister tank, and as I mentioned, because it's got the M Sport, it's finished in the kind of chrome black look. And the strong character line running along the side of the car. We'll jump in and step inside the car. First off, you're greeted with a nice quality panel. As you can see, being the M Sport trim, it's finished in this hexagonal kind of metallic finished trim. You can get wood as an option. Straight away in the door you can see there's a nice blend of soft touch plastic, all rubberised at the top, leather padding everywhere with the contrast white stitching. Got a little X there to designate it's an X model, and we'll get onto the speakers in a minute, but it's got the Harman Kardon sound system, so that's why it's got that little bit there. Decent size door pockets, which is nice to see, especially in an SUV. You've got one for a big bottle and one for maybe your mats, your sweets and all that kind of stuff down there. So we've got M sill plates along with M tread pedals on the gas and brake pedal, which is quite nice to see, the kind of metal finish with the rubberised bits. It's all part of the M Sport package. So if I have a quick look at the seats, these are the M Sport style seats. So we've got a mixture of electric and manual adjustment for the seats. So that button there does the bolsters, tightens them and or loosens them up. Here we've got adjustment for height, and we've got rake adjustment. If you pull that, obviously if you're sitting in the car you'll adjust that to the desired position. So we'll go ahead and jump inside the car. So before we jump inside, I'd like to say there's quite a cool wee feature here. We've got the X3 embossed into the B-pillar or the frame of the car, so that's quite a cool wee touch. So we'll go ahead and jump in. Again, being the M Sport, the M badges are out to get us. We've got one there, and even the carpet's got little M colours along the tread down there. You can see the threading. So put the foot in the brake and start the car up. Let everything come to life. We've got the latest generation iDrive, we've got a touch screen now, and then we've also got a digital dash, and we've got a heads up display because this car's got the tech pack. So we'll start off with the iDrive. So this is like your home screen now, and it's got little widgets for your weather and everything. It tells you the news, and I think that's quite a cool feature, just the fact that everything's touch, quite responsive. It's probably one of the best in the system, if not the best, because you can do it via touchscreen, you can do it via the iDrive controller that we've got to know over the last 15 years or so. Shortcuts there, so you can push to your sat nav, comes up and search destinations, etc. So much you can do with that. And then also this feature's got the BMW assistant, so you can say, "Hello BMW."
Hello, what can I help you with?
Take me home.
Okay, we're going home.
And then the sat nav will take you home quite quickly. So that's like 3 ways to input your sat nav, which is pretty good, especially when you're driving. You can say at a touch of a button. I don't want to go too much into the detail of this, but just know it's one of the best in the system. It's quite fast and easy to use. So many ways for your media, Spotify, Apple CarPlay, screen mirroring, etc. And as I said, at a touch of a button, you can do that. Also, while we're here talking about the sat nav and the radio, so there's 2 ways to turn the volume up from here alone, excluding the steering wheel buttons. So you can turn it up here, or you can do gesture control like so, which I think is pretty cool. It's a bit of a gimmick, and it takes a little bit longer than it would be just to do that, but it's quite a nice feature to have. If you move here, you've got nice climate vents, easy to turn on and off, well made, nice solid plastic. Hazards, this button here, touch and it activates or deactivates all your safety system depending on how you want that, so your forward collision warning, etc. Down below, I quite like BMW have kept this. This is the buttons that you run your finger across a shortcut, so this can be radio stations, sat nav addresses, phone book, etc. So that's quite cool. You just run your finger across and you can hopefully see that top of the screen. If you had that assigned to something, they've kept that over the years. Climate control's gone, now the orange lit buttons, now we've got the white ones, which is nice. Automatic climate control, heat, rear defrost, all the usual stuff you expect. Fan speed, heated seats, aircon, so there's your heated seats there, aircon, and everything's got a nice solid feel to it. Down below here we've got another X3 embossed bit of plastic there. Slide that back, we've got 2 cup holders with nice grippy bits there. We've also got a wireless charging pad, so if I get my phone out, put that on the pad, it starts charging up. We've also got a USB port and a spot there for your car key. So the car key, if I get it out of my pocket, there is a certain way to get that in, like so. And then we've got the ZF gearbox that everybody seems to know and love. One of my favourite party tricks with this is if you push P, it will slide across. Got your driving modes on the right here. This time, instead of being a hard rocker panel button, they've got little kind of almost soft touch plastic behind us there, so it's like capacitive touching. So sports mode, standard mode, or comfort, and Eco Pro. And as you can imagine, that adjusts your throttle response and your steering feel. In Eco Pro mode, as you can see, it changes the gauges to blue. On the right hand side here you get an MPG, kind of read out the main focus there, and your speed on the left. I put into comfort, it goes red, and you get a tachometer on the right and your speedo on the left. So I'll show you that one more time. Then if I want to switch this into sports mode, you'll see that the gauges kind of go a little bit bigger. You almost get like a text checker flag pattern behind the gauge. They've almost made it look 3D, which is pretty cool. And And since we're in a diesel, give you a little rev, but you're not going to get too much from the 2 litre diesel engine. I will point out a nice feature this car has is the auto hold, so that means when you come to a stop at lights or anything, it does hold you stationary, which I know a lot of cars have now, but I just thought I'd point it out. The steering wheel itself is the M Sport steering wheel, recently refreshed, all free spoke with the kind of chrome brushed silver accents, but this time they made it look like a rather stitched kind of airbag cover here. I do like the fact that BMW are still giving you little paddles behind the steering wheel. You'd probably use that if it was the 40i, but 2 litre diesel, realistically you're just going to keep and drive and continue around with your day. Cruise control, and that's on the left. BMW do a really good system, and it's quite easy to activate. You just touch this button, you can adjust it up and down. I think one touch gives you 1, and you hold it in for 1 click and it gives you up by 5 miles per hour. Right hand side, your volume button for the radio, and then you can push this button here to activate the BMW thing. Hello BMW.
Please try once again.
Change ambient lighting to green.
I selected the light colour green, with contouring in green.
So as you can see now, we've got the ambient colours in green. If I look at the back, there we go. That's what that button does. Right hand side, BMW have been fairly consistent with this. You've got your 0 lights off, just your daytime run lights, side lights, main lights, automatic lights, dimmer switch, parking lights, and then you've got your fog lights in there. I also like the fact when car manufacturers give you a little bit there for your sunglasses. This time BMW have lined it for the fuzzy stuff, sunglasses don't get scratched. And for anybody who's not been a recent BMW, they've also switched the door lock and unlock button. Used to be in the centre of the car here, now it's on the right hand side of the driver. But the lease they've put up here, so it's nice at the touch of a hand. All your wing mirror controls, door, window switches are all on the door panel there. But I'm really impressed with the build quality throughout the car. It's all solid, good plastic's been used, even down here. It's not really scratchy at all. Door bin is a wee bit scratchy there, but I would probably guess they've done it that low down because you're going to maybe spill and juice on your feet, you're going to touch that and it's easy to wipe, but everything else above that, it's in the centre console there, it's all soft touch plastic, so it's very solid and well made. Got 2 little buttons here for your hill descent control and your parking sensor defeat. Under the armrest, which again has got the leather wrap, the white stitching to match the rest of the car. Got a little bit in here for USB-C charging, so I had to go out and buy these USB-C chargers. Obviously meant to hand gel to go out anywhere in the UK at the moment. And a little bit of storage all lined with the kind of rubberised texture stuff in there. And that's that. It wouldn't be a CarsofGlasgow video without looking at the glove box, so we'll pull this little satin silver trim. And you can see softly damp, lined with the fuzzy stuff. That's your kind of logbook manual thing there. And you see plenty of storage, and it's nice squared off shape. There's no fuse box or anything intruding in the car like you would maybe get in a Volvo or a Peugeot or something like that. And being M Sport, we've got this black headlining, kind of give it a driver focused appeal. BMW have been doing that for a while with the M Sports. Got black gloss plastic in a few areas where we're talking about that. It does leave a few fingerprints, but they have minimised it, so that gets the bonus for that. Just need to wipe that down with a microfiber cloth when you get the chance. And the lighting in here is pretty cool. This kind of line design has been continued throughout the car. Cabin, we've got it there, we've got it there, and we've got it external. I'll insert a picture of that at night so you can see what it looks like. And anybody wondering, I'm 5'11" and I fit obviously in the car pretty well. You can have it to any height you want. I quite like sitting high in the car just because you get a good view out. A-pillars are nice and not too thin, not too thick, but they're a good enough size that you can still see out, you know, got too much of a blind spot. Wing mirrors are a great size, especially nice and chunky for the size of car we've got. Plenty of shoulder room, they're very comfortable in this car. We've only done, about 300 miles in this car since we got it, so it's done about 3 weeks, but it's been comfortable so far in the journeys we've done. We've driven about 100 miles to Dross, and that's probably as far as we've been so far. And the quality of leather seems to have improved over the years. If you think back a couple of years ago, my mum had the Dakota leather in a F10 5 Series. It feels a little bit less grainy. It doesn't feel soft as the leather you get in a 7 or 8 Series, but it does the job and it's quite nice. And you can see BMW went to the effort of giving it different kind of stitching throughout just to break up the colour a little bit. And this black on black is a very popular German car spec. And as I said, the mood lighting, you've seen the change. You can change that through the voice or through the sat nav as well, or through the iDrive system, shall I say. Look under the bonnet, you pull this lever twice. BMW fashion, BMW likes to bong at you. Bonnet open on the push to dash. Pop down to the front. We've got a nice clean engine bay here. You can see that 2-litre unit right on the way. I love how BMW kind of give you a full carbon fibre effect on the diesel plastic cover that you need that. Apart from everything being shiny and new, main things to take away is this car produces about 187 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 is just about 7.9 seconds official. This feels faster than that because of the torque, and it also gets about 45 miles per gallon so far. We're still running the car in, but I think that's pretty impressive considering the weight and size of the car. So we'll close this up and we'll show you the back seats quickly before we go a drive. So again, we've got nice quality materials carrying throughout. We've got a little X stamp there again to remind you it's an X car. We've got the stamped aluminium trim, that mood lighting that is really on point. It's pretty cool, especially at night time. Quality materials, nice door pockets as well. Got the space for another bottle and a little bit of something else. Unfortunately, there's no storage behind the seats, which I always quite like when car companies offer that, but unfortunately it's not here. We've got more USB-C chargers here for your rear passengers. Climate control, which I quite like. You get the options to decrease, increase that, have it in auto, whatever you wish, and direction if you want it on your feet or your face. And this is the vents themselves. Some of you with kids and baby seats will be wondering about the car, so you can easily slide them in, these push back and slide the baby seat in. As you can see, door opening nice and wide. And my BMW quality I like is the fact they've always put this kind of soft leather or whatever material you've got in the back of the car, so this isn't scratchy plastic, so when you get in and out that's all nice and soft. And we get a nice wee armrest as well if you're carrying 2 people, with the typical BMW cup holders in the back. So you join me inside the X3 for a quick drive, and I want to mention before we get off anywhere is the fact that the car in the UK anyway comes with double glazing on the side windows and the front, so that means regardless if you get a petrol or a diesel, it's really quiet inside the car. With these kind of crossover SUVs, we always like that high driving position, that's why people seem to buy them, and this obviously is no exception. The gear changes are very smooth and seamless. Again, it's into the gearbox. Wonderful work that the ZF people have done. Heads-up display, again, I'd really recommend if you're getting any modern BMW. I think that even the heads-up display is one of the best in the business. It's very large, it gives you all the information from your speed, sat nav, your radio stations if you touch the button on the steering wheel. It's huge, it looks like, obviously it's projected, about 4 inches worth, which is pretty impressive on your view. You don't even need to look down on the iDrive system there. I like the digital gauge cluster as well, that is configurable, but I think the best system is probably the Audi one with how you can so customisable that is, but the BMW one's probably a close second. But I like the way it's configured at the moment, the map in the middle and your driver's information is pushed out to the side as far as possible. I just always like to see where you're going, especially if you're on familiar roads, you know what's coming up, the kind of bend, etc. So it may look a little bit bumpy on the camera, but the ride is pretty decent. Handling is where this car excels. I find this car is probably one of the best gripping kind of mid-size SUVs that I've driven this year. You can feel a bit of that driver engagement that BMW kind of promise. It is definitely one of the better handling cars of this class, if not the best, apart from obviously something like Porsche Macan that is just glues to the road like, I don't know, like some sort of railway kind of vehicle. It's just impressive. But against like your Mercedes and Audi, even like the Volvo and the Jaguar F-Pace, this is the kind of car you want if you're driving, just because it just grips the road so well. I'd say it feels like it drives better than the F33 series that was traded in for this, just purely because it's just so grippy. Wasn't expecting it from a high-riding SUV, and yet here we are and it's doing its thing. I have noticed that the BMW have got rid of the indicators that kind of return back to the point that they were originally. If you remember from previous BMWs I've reviewed, you hit the indicator and it kind of popped back, whereas this one stays up or down almost like a traditional indicator, which is a bit of a shame because I always liked how BMWs had that going on. So acceleration's linear, which is really what you want. As in, have it in sports mode if you want a bit of fun, but as I said, in eco mode you can easily get above 45 miles to a gallon. Car's only been out about 2 years, so it's still fresh in terms of design. With regards to pricing, in the UK anyway, a base 20i SE model is going to set you just over £41,000 at the moment. But as spec, this 20D M Sport with the tech pack and tinted windows and the Phytonic paint is just over £47,000 in the UK. So that's something to consider when you start spending that kind of money. What else you can get? You might want to look at maybe a year-old X5 because that's been out for about a year as well. So when you look at the used market, it opens up, but it's obviously priced quite competitively new. And also the diesels, I was surprised that they're still going because you can obviously now get the 30E, which is the plug-in petrol electric, the petrol engines that I mentioned, the 20i and the 40i, and you can also now get what's just coming, I believe, the iX3, which is the electric version of the BMW X3. So anybody who wants a full electric car, and I guess that would compete with things like the Tesla Model Y even. So you have quite a lot of options with regards to the engine and what you want. And if you don't like the M Sport aggressive package, then maybe I suggest the X line, just so you get it's like some of the goodies and the gadgets, but it's a softer appearance and a bit more rugged looking just because it's got the plastic cladding around the car. And the SE spec is okay for probably company car buyers and things like that, but I don't personally think it looks the best in comparison to what BMW offer. So I just want to say thanks very much for watching this video on the BMW X3. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tour with me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Cars of Glasgow below, comment any questions you have. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Cars of Glasgow, and I appreciate every subscriber. We're almost at 1,000, so if you could subscribe to me, that would be fantastic. I'd be really happy to get to that milestone. So I just want to say stay safe, enjoy this video and stay tuned because I've got a couple of car videos coming up over the next couple of weeks. So see you again and ciao.